Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Primetime Live here on JESS FM and JESS TV. I am James Kuzno, your host, and tonight we will take a look at headlines from Lethbridge, across Canada and around the globe. And then the fun part begins, ladies and gentlemen, as I stated last week. This week we're actually going to look at breaking into the music industry and how that has changed over the last many decades. Today's day and age may offer opportunities to find exposure online, but again, you're there with millions of others trying to do the exact same thing, fighting for the same viewers and listeners. So we will get into that as well. So tonight, it should be a fun-filled show. Just gotta get the prompter all set here. So, some of you may know, or most of you probably don't know, that in addition to being an actor and a internationally accredited journalist, I also spent some time promoting musicians. Did a lot of work with independent and small bands, as well as uh, different productions for whether it was fundraising or other reasons or benefits. And that is something that I enjoy doing. I've worked in the legendary Greenhouse Studios. I've been in Brian Adams's Warehouse Studios, among many others, both here in Vancouver and in Los Angeles. For those that are starting out in the entertainment industry, in particular the music industry, it's important to realize that it's not always about the studio recordings, especially when you're starting out. You can look at smaller studios or self-recorded demos and such, and really, maybe even an acoustic set when it comes to TikTok or other online platforms. As I said, it is, a very interesting world that we live in now with social media and other opportunities to gain exposure. You should also be aware that it does take time. It's not something that most musicians will find they get into immediately. You're not going to just send a tape off to a record label and find that they sign you. There is a great deal of opportunity there, but there's also a great deal of competition. That said, of course, there are the anomalies that happen, but it's very rare. So don't plan on, just really kicking it off immediately. Even if you've got a great track and, you've gone through the expense of hiring the best engineers and producers and mixing and all of that. There's a lot more to it, and there's a lot of marketing and other areas that need to be looked at. Some of the great opportunities are actually ones within your own community, but also, not closing the door on the internet or anything else is important to remember because there are, as I said, a lot of opportunities out there for people to experience and to really enjoy. So, with that said, let's just jump into our program. If you want to call in, by all means, we are actually pre-recording this show. You're welcome to call in and leave a voicemail, and we'll get to it in the next show. We'll play some of the messages that you leave. The phone number is 604-385, 5093. And the reason for the pre-recorded episode tonight, folks, is that I will be in the studio today, and film studio that is, working on a series. So again, I will be unavailable potentially. We could go late. That happens quite a bit. Where we go 12, 14 hours on set. So I just thought that I would pre-record tonight's episode, making sure that it's available for you. And as I said, we'll talk about the music industry and such, but let's first kick off with, of course, taking a look at the stories that are important. Now, tonight, a major breakthrough in the Middle East as Israel and Hamas agree to the first phase of a peace plan. Great news if it sticks. In Ottawa, tensions remain high as trade talks with the United States continue under the shadow of punishing tariffs. And here in Lethbridge, polling stations are now open for the 2025 municipal election. Voters are set to decide the city's future. We'll have full reports on these stories and more right after we announce, of course, our episode. Well, you can hear the coyotes out there. Well, no, the owls are going now. In any event, we want to just announce, of course, our episode sponsor, Carry Movers, Western Canada's favorite and most reliable moving company, whether it's residential, office, business, commercial, or corporate. Carry Movers has you covered for long distance moves throughout Western Canada. You can find them online at www.carrymovers.com. That's Kary movers.com for a quote. Log on to the website. They can provide rates and quotes for Western Canadian long distance moves or local moves in the Vancouver and Fraser Valley regions. Excuse me. Now, let's move on, folks. A deal has been reached in Gaza. Yes, a fragile hope for peace after 2 years of conflict. Prime Minister Carney has been in Washington facing down new threats in a high stakes trade battle with Donald Trump. And in Lethbridge, your vote, your voice as the city goes to the polls. Plus, of course, police investigate a shocking kidnapping on a city street. We begin here at home in Lethbridge, where a democratic process is in full swing. If you have not seen it, excuse me, any of the promos, we've got several clips that we've been airing, and that is with Rufa Doria. Yes, she is running for city council. We have a full report and discussion coming up Friday or Saturday. That'll be posted here on JESS FM and JESS TV. Check it out. We had a great discussion. She was a lovely guest, and I think there's a lot of reason for Lethbridge to have hope for the next 4 years with her running and hopefully winning. But in any event, the democratic process is now in full swing, ladies and gentlemen. Advance voting stations for the 2025 municipal and school election are now officially open, giving residents their first chance to cast a ballot and shape the next 4 years of the civic leadership. The race for City Hall, let's start there. Yes, the race for the mayor's office has intensified in recent days. Incumbent Blaine Huygen is running for a second term, campaigning on his experience and his council's focus on safety over the past 4 years. However, that record has come under fire, with recent candidate forums seeing frustrated voters single out the frontrunners with pointed accusations and tough questions. The election is taking place at a critical time for the city, forcing voters to weigh competing narratives about Lethbridge's identity. On one hand, the city is being recognized for its economic resilience. A recent national report placed Lethbridge among the top 10 most affordable Canadian cities for renters, with the average one-bedroom unit costing $1,325 a month in September. While that figure is down 5.5% year over year, a 2.3% monthly increase signals that a cost of living pressure is still a concern. Excuse me, for many households. My goodness, I don't know what's going on there. Adding to the positive economic outlook, data from Avison Young shows growing confidence among entrepreneurs, with a notable trend of office users switching from leasing to owning their own commercial spaces. But this economic optimism is set against a backdrop of serious public safety concerns, which have dominated the headlines and become a central issue for candidates. The future voters are deciding on. It's basically come to the very future that they are looking at the challenges of a growing urban center and becoming impossible to ignore. It is a big challenge for everybody involved. Now, when you look at the public safety and community initiatives, of course, those challenges were brought into sharp focus this week with a series of disturbing crimes. Lethbridge police are investigating a brazen kidnapping and unlawful confinement after a woman reported being grabbed and pulled into a moving vehicle. She told authorities the suspect sexually assaulted her before she managed to escape. In a separate incident that triggered lockdowns at multiple schools on the city's south side, police have charged an 18-year-old male with brandishing a knife at students in a school cafeteria. And the justice system continues to deal with Yet another violent case, as the bail hearing for a youth charged with an aggravated assault and attempted murder of his younger brother has been delayed. These events underscore a public safety debate at the heart of the municipal election. Yet, even as they confront violent crime, local authorities are also pursuing initiatives aimed at healing and reconciliation. In a powerful symbol of this effort, the Lethbridge Police Department recently celebrated the first harvest from its new Blackfoot medicine garden. The garden provides sustainably grown traditional medicines for smudge kits and cultural ceremonies, a project developed in partnership with the Indigenous community to build trust and, of course, cultural understanding. As we take a look also at city life and the local economy, that is also very important. Now, in other civic news, the city of Lethbridge is launching a pilot program for curbside battery recycling in partnership with Call to Recycle Canada. From November the 18th to the 28th, residents will be able to place in their used batteries in a designated bag for collection, a move aimed at improving environmental safety and convenience. Also, a reminder for residents on designated snow routes, the deadline to register for the Windrow Assistance Service is Friday. Yes, this Friday. So the program helps eligible seniors and those with mobility challenges clear the windrifts left by the city plows. So again, this program will help the seniors and those with mobility challenges to get those windrows cleared by the city plows. So sign up before Friday if that is something you're going to need over this winter. Finally, the end of an era for a local landmark. Yes, the Dave Elton Skate Park. The city's first is being decommissioned after 26 years of service. It opened in 1999 and the park has been a beloved hub for generations of skateboarders, and its closure is being mourned by many in the community as a loss of a cultural touchstone. Now, let's transition over to Parliament Hill and across Canada. Our national coverage. All eyes are on Washington this week, where the future of Canada's economic relationship with its largest trading partner is being negotiated under immense pressure. Prime Minister Mark Carney is meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump for a critical review of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or the USMCA. The talks are fraught with tension as President Trump has revived his aggressive 51st state rhetoric and continues to threaten Canada with steep sector-specific tariffs. The American administration has already imposed punishing tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum and is reportedly taking an aggressive stance against Ontario's auto industry. The diplomatic friction is having a tangible effect on cross-border relations. According to Canada's National Statistical Office, Canadian visits to the U.S. have plunged by 23% in the first 7 months of this year compared to last. It's a clear sign of public discontent. Meanwhile, when Donald Trump was asked about that at a press conference recently, he said he didn't care whether Canadians came to the U.S. to visit or not. Now, this pressure from the South is compounded by challenges elsewhere. New figures show that Saskatchewan's exports to China have fallen drastically amid a separate ongoing tariff dispute, highlighting Canada's vulnerability in the global landscape that's shifting towards protectionism. For a nation heavily reliant on trade, these simultaneous disputes with its two largest partners underscore an urgent need to diversify its economy relationships and to safeguard against future instability. When we look at national security and immigration, we can take that into focus here. Back in Ottawa, the federal government is moving to tighten the country's borders. Public Safety Minister Gary Anand whatever has tabled a new, sorry, I just always get tied up on that name, Anand Asangari, whatever. Regardless, anyway, has tabled a new streamlined border bill aimed at combating organized crime and modernizing immigration controls. The legislation, this comes as the government faces growing scrutiny over its management of immigration programs. At a recent House of Commons committee meeting, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, or the IRCC, revealed that as many as 47,000 foreign nationals who entered the country on student visas may now be in Canada illegally. An official stated that these individuals are considered non-compliant, meaning they are no longer attending the classes required by their visa terms. India was, of course, cited as one of the top source countries for these cases. Now, they also represent one of the largest groups for foreign students, so that would make sense. The revelation points to a significant gap in oversight within Canada's multi billion dollar international education sector. The IRCC admitted that it relies on educational institutions to report students who stop attending classes and has no independent mechanism to track them, while enforcement falls to the Canadian Border Services Agency. This systemic vulnerability is being exploited, as highlighted by a recent viral video showing an Indian influencer advising people to have babies born in Canada as a last option. Now, this is what he says in relation to securing permanent residency on compassionate grounds, and that sparked widespread outrage. And I apologize, like I said, not to have, but he's advising them to have babies as a last option to secure permanent residency on compassionate grounds. So, just for clarification there. Now, let's take a look at some top stories from around the world. Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a deal. Yes, there is a major development in the Middle East tonight. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a deal to end the war in Gaza. According to the president's statement on his Truth Social website, the agreement means that all of the hostages will soon be released, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line. Whether or not this is agreed by those nations, we'll have to watch and see what news they put out as opposed to Donald Trump. Now, the announcement marks the most significant step towards peace if it is in fact true that they've agreed since the conflict began. It comes as Israel marks the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th attack in Hamas that ignited the devastating war. And technically, I guess now we are past that October 7th anniversary. While details remain scarce and the situation is fluid, the agreement represents a fragile but critical breakthrough mediated apparently by the United States. We'll see if that's true as well, because we know that Trump likes to stretch the truth there, as we will put it politely. Now, let's take a quick look at other nations that are making the headlines. Now, in Europe, Germany is ending its fast-track citizenship program, signaling a broader shift in the continent's mood on immigration. And the European Union is moving to ban the use of meat-related terms like veggie burger for plant-based food products. Yes. In America, the U.S. Senate has voted down a measure that would have blocked President Trump's use of lethal force against alleged drug trafficking boats off the coast of Venezuela. And in Argentina, a court has sentenced a man to 10 years in prison for the attempted assassination of former President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. And that was an event that took place in 2022. Now, as we turn to the Asian Pacific region, Japan is dealing with a rise in human-wildlife encounters after a bear injured 2 people in a grocery store. Yes, you heard that right. The bear injured 2 people in a grocery store. While in Afghanistan, a near total communications blackout continues for a second day after the Taliban shut down internet and phone services across the country. From the complexities of global politics, we now turn to the ever-changing world of arts and culture. For decades, the dream was simple: get a record deal. But in 2025, how does an aspiring musician actually break through? When we come back, we will turn our 40-minute segment into the talk of the town. Well, maybe not. But anyways, we are going to take a look at a special report breaking in and navigating the modern music industry. Stay tuned and join us after this for that report. Welcome back. Just another reminder, folks, of our sponsor, Carry Movers. If you are moving at long distance throughout Western Canada, Reach out to Carry Movers at www.karymovers.com. Now, on with the rest of the show. We are talking about music. Yes. And it's really an industry that is going back, almost to the beginning of time when it comes to people. And, music is something that transcends borders. It transcends cultures. It transcends different groups, whether it is demographics, looking at the ages, cultures, whatever it is, it can transcend. You hear a lot of young kids listening to the Rolling Stones or to Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath and, all of these groups from back in the day. But then you also hear a lot of modern music, whether it's Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber here in Canada, of course, big Canadian, and Bryan Adams, who has crossed a lot of decades with some amazing music. Now, with that said, of course, there are a lot of people who want to achieve that stardom. They are participating in programs like America's Got Talent, American Idol, and the other affiliated programs around the world. Now, I find it really interesting to watch some of the like Britain's Got Talent and other ones. There's ones in Armenia and just around the world, and you can actually really find them easily online. But some of the musicians are just phenomenal. And chances are, without the internet, we would not have that exposure. We wouldn't be able to get these international programs. And that is just the fact of how the media landscape works. So if you're interested, you can always look online. Now, when it comes to breaking into music, there are a lot of complexities. And that is something that is not new to the industry. It's always been a tough industry to get into. And the odd stories of people who are, discovered online, like the Justin Biebers, are really a rarity. Now, when you release your music online, you can actually build up your own fan base, and that is beautiful because if you can do that, then you can find some level of success. Excuse me, the more you go online and the more you release, the more you get likes and follows, subscribers, all of that, then that can play in because you can get attention of the international labels. But is that really what you want to do? There are really a lot more opportunities now that make the dream more accessible. Sometimes, of course, more out of reach. In the past, paths were narrow, guarded by few powerful gatekeepers. Today, the gates are gone. Anyone with a laptop and a melody can record a song and upload it to the world. Very true. Technology has democratized the act of creation. And that is, of course, unleashing an unprecedented flood of new music. But it's also created a paradox. With millions of voices shouting for attention, how does any single artist get the attention of the right people or just of the fan base? Let's take a look here. Many years ago, as I said, I've recorded and produced, written, co-written, and such various tracks. And this is one that we did for the international troops. I'm going to show you a video where a bunch of musicians got together in a Vancouver studio, and it was actually the Warehouse Studios owned by Bryan Adams. And I'll show you this one. But then we will also take a look at some other images from other studios in which it's just representing the studio layouts and what you see in studios now to give you that idea. But keep in mind also that there is the opportunity to record at home or in small studios. You don't need to go out and record in massive, professional studios such as the Greenhouse Studios, the Warehouse Studios, and so forth.
Been a long time gone, seems a long time coming home. I lost some good friends, left the families all alone. Some are missing, and some may never come back. They're busy over there working to get this world on track. tragedy endure. I will feel, look for help, seems there's none inside. Someone must know this isn't right. And we must stand together and show them that care. After the fight is through, we will be there, we will be there. Till the pain is cured from tragedy endured. Oh, I will feel, we will be here. And we must stand together and show them that care. After the fight is through, we will be there, we will be there. Till the pain is cured from tragedy endured. Oh, I will feel, we will be here, we will be here.
So it's sometimes about the lyrics that tell the story. Sometimes it's about having a great riff. Sometimes it's about the beat of the drums, depending on what type of music that you are creating, depending on what kind of a story you're trying to tell. And that's what music is. It's basically a short story that is set to music. It sounds simple, sounds easy, but there is a lot of complexities that go into it. Whether or not you are a guitar player, a pianist, or a drummer, a bass player. All of these key factors play into what creates the final product. Much like a car, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different pieces that have to come together to make that final product run. Much like music, and it's about storytelling. Some of the best songs and some of the biggest hits in history have told stories. They've told stories that resonate with individuals, not just the story itself from the songwriter's perspective, but songs that can be relatable to other people. They can take the song, they can take the meaning, they can take the message, and they can translate that into a certain period or experience within their own lives. That is what helps to make up a great song. Sometimes it's just a song that has a great beat and, just really brings that emotion of excitement, of fun, of a shared experience. And those are different things that are played into different songs that create a different emotion. How many times have you heard a song that you hadn't heard in years, and yet you remember all the lyrics? As soon as you hear it, boom, it triggers that part of your memory. And you remember the lyrics, but it also triggers certain emotional responses. Maybe it was from your first dance in elementary school. It brings back that memory, that emotion, that feeling. Sometimes music Can be used to uplift your spirits when you're feeling down. You put on some AC/DC or something with a really, upbeat rhythm to it. And that can bring the energy. Now, music in itself can actually release endorphins in your brain. It can stimulate emotion, it can stimulate feelings, and it can have an impact. If you notice that certain locations, such as 7-Elevens in certain regions, will play certain types of music, and that is meant to push people away from the facility. So this way, teens that are listening to, sorry, but Barry Manilow or Bach or Beethoven, they're not interested in hearing that, and they're going to disperse. Whereas if you're playing the top 40 tracks outside in the parking lot, they're going to hang out there. It again has power. Music is power. Music is emotion. Music can bring us together in unity. The track that you just heard was written by myself, Jim Abbott, and Eric Rashig, and it was a lead track on a CD for the troops that raised money for fallen soldiers' families and for soldiers that came back from battle with life-altering injuries. This raised funds for Canadian soldiers, for American soldiers, and for soldiers in the UK. In the video, you also saw that I was honored to present the CD to many of our troops, as well as to Prime Minister Tony Blair. Back at the time, he was Prime Minister anyway. And we were able to bring awareness with the message, and a message that it is a tragedy when lives are lost in battle, but also encouraging those at home to make sure they support the troops. You don't have to agree with a war, but you should always support the troops that have been sent to battle them, to protect our freedoms and the freedoms of others around the world. And again, that is where the emotion of music can come in. It can also inspire. It can inspire attitudes and ideas. There are times where I am writing, whether it's a script for a pilot program, a pilot TV show, or even a novel, and I'll put on certain types of music and close my eyes, and that helps me to visualize some of the story pieces and the surroundings. And again, it has a huge power. Music can also help people that may have certain readings on the spectrum or other mental health disabilities or challenges, mental health illnesses. And it can help to bring them out of that shell. It can help to really create that connection, whether it's through the lyrics or just the music in itself. Instrumental arrangements can be very powerful as well without lyrics. So keep that in mind as, of course, you look at creating your following and trying to build your fan base and get recognized in the industry. Something else that you want to keep in mind is that you want to find that connection with the potential audience, with your potential fans. Sometimes it's not always about the music. Sometimes it's actually about creating a connection by shared experiences. So by speaking with the audience and giving them a bit of background or just talking in general, sometimes can give them that personal connection that you hadn't considered before. So again, very, very important opportunity to build that relationship. Now let's go and share another video and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This again was for that track. We had musicians come into the studio from all different backgrounds. Most hadn't even met until they ended up in the studio that day. And as that happened, we also recorded messages for the troops from the musicians that were on hand. So this way they could speak out and send a message of support and encouragement to those overseas. But again, it shows that sometimes it's about building that personal connection as well and letting people know that they're being thought of.
Some are missing, and some may never come back.
My apologies. Let's switch videos here.
My name's Sly. I'm a singer-songwriter and also a bass player. I came in to do the project, just didn't know much about it, but I was really interested in what was going on here, doing this for the troops. Wow, what can I say? You know, being a songwriter, sometimes it's got its ups and downs, but nothing like you guys have to face. You know, we might get the blister on our fingers or our thumbs, as the old song goes, but I have total respect for what you guys do. Just thanks for letting me be who I am, because that's what you take care of. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Trevor Clemondon. I'm 13 years old, and I've been lending my voice to some of the songs in the project. And I would just love to say to the troops, thank you so much for everything. You're making the world such a better place, and it means a whole lot to us back here in the country. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chad Clemondon. I'm 15 years old, and I am helping out by singing in some of the tracks on the CDs. Wow, thank you so much for all that you've done, giving and risking your life over in war for us back home to make peace and love. Thanks a lot.
I'm Zach, and I'm 11, and I'm helping support, and I wish you guys good luck.
Hi guys, I'm Sky Wyatt. Just want to give some support to the troops. Love what you guys are doing over there, and hope you enjoy this project.
Hi, I'm Kat. I'm a makeup artist, and I'm helping out, obviously, doing makeup. And I'd like to wish the troops all the best and a safe return home.
Hi guys, my name is Sydney Stahl. I just came down, just found about this today, and I wanted to lend my support and let you guys know that we are thinking about you back home, and we hope to have you safe and sound and home very soon.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me. Give me some. Now it's all over. I know it's me. More I drink, more I see. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Jim Abbott from The Storm. This is Tony, one of my backup singers. How you guys doing there? We're here making a compilation CD, and we're hoping you're going to enjoy it. And thanks for taking care of us.
This is for you.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was me. Now it's all over.
It's all over.
I know it's me.
You know it's me.
More I drink.
More I drink.
More I see.
The more I see. There you go. There you go. Yeah. History.
Hey, I'm Jeff, part of the project here for the troops, playing drums here today at the Warehouse Studios in Vancouver, BC, Canada. Real proud to be part of this whole thing, and really, it's a big process, as you can see, and as you know, we're all kind of joining together like you guys all are out there. We just want to thank you guys for doing a great job out there for us all back home here, and hopefully you all can come back home soon.
And then a nice build to we must band together. You know? Da-da-da-da-da. Right? And then we'll be there. So listen, we'll be there. We'll be there. And then
Hi, I'm Albert Gilmer. They call me Vegas. I'm here laying down some tracks for the CD for the troops. I want to tell you guys that we appreciate you so much for what you're doing for our country, and I give my eye teeth if I could get over there and do a performance and play for you guys. I'm hoping we'll be able to round up a bunch of people to go over there and just do that. There's nothing I would like better than to play for you guys and give you our support and let you know how we're feeling about you guys over there.
Hi, my name is Pamela Viana, and I'm a singer here in Vancouver with the Rose Alarm. And I came out today with some friends to make some cool music and help support all the families and soldiers, men and women that have fought so hard for our country and the States and all the crap that's been going on the past couple of years. I just think that one of the great things music can do is inspire you and instill courage within you. So it helps the families that are waiting at home for them to come back, and it also helps them who are out there fighting.
Hi, my name is Murray Yates from 40 Foot Echo. Just want to say hello to all the troops out there and express how proud we are of you and how we're all waiting for you to get back home. We're making this music today in Vancouver, Canada, and I hope you really enjoy it. We're thinking of you, and peace out.
My name is Brandy Lynn.
I'm Naomi Faith.
And we're here working on the project today, and we just want all of you to know that we support you and we're thinking of you and we love you, and thank you so much for being there for our country.
Yeah, and big shout out to my cousin Mike Davis, who's in Iraq.
There you go, folks. So that kind of shows you that you can create a bit of a story and a bit of a side presentation to the music in itself in order to grow an online audience. That, again, is going to help you throughout the industry. Now, let's move on here as we look at the 70-year disruption and how we got here. It has been a big world and big changes. But let's take a look at the fact that for the better part of the 20th century, the music industry was an empire built on a simple premise: control. It was dominated by a handful of major record labels, and the Big Six is what they're referred to, who controlled everything from production to distribution and promotion. To succeed, an artist had to be chosen. The most powerful kingmakers was radio. In the 1950s, the fates of radio and rock and roll became intertwined. Radio, facing a threat from the new medium of television, needed a new audience. Teenagers, armed with newly invented portable transistor radios, needed a sound of their own. The mutually beneficial alliance that followed created superstars and drove massive record scales, establishing a formula that, of course, would last for decades. Now, as we look here, of course, at the heart of this system was the artists, and of course, we cannot forget as well the repertoire representative. Yes, the A&R man. As they were the industry's tastemakers, scouring clubs and listening to demo tapes, relying on instinct and a golden ear to discover the next big thing. They were the first gatekeeper. Then, on August the 1st, 1981, a new gatekeeper arrived. It was the launch of MTV, a simple revolutionary promise: music, television, 24 hours a day. The first video it played, that was called Video Killed the Radio Star, was prophetic. The channel transformed music into a visual medium. An artist's image came as important as their sound, and the music video became an essential and expensive marketing tool. Through all these shifts, from the vinyl LPs of the 1950s to the 8-tracks and cassettes of the 1970s, the fundamental business model remained unchanged: sell a physical product to the masses. And then we saw the digital collapse from the 1990s to the 2000s. The 1990s saw an industry reach its financial peak with the dominance of the compact disc. But a technological storm was gathering. The invention of the MP3 format and the 1999 launch of a peer-to-peer file sharing service called Napster triggered a cataclysm. Suddenly, music was free. The industry's core product, the recorded song, had been devalued to zero. Excuse me, the gatekeepers had lost control of distribution for the first time in music history. The financial devastation was immediate and brutal. In the United States, of course, that alone, recorded music revenue plummeted from a high of $12.8 billion in 1999 to just $5.5 billion in 2008. Now, the industry declared war, arguing that file sharing was mass theft and that it was decimating the sales. Studies would later support their claims, estimating that the practice reduced album sales by anywhere from 15 to 30%. Proponents of file sharing claimed it was merely a new form of promotion, a way for fans to sample music before buying. But these sales data told a different story. The empire was collapsing. I remember sitting and speaking with a representative from Virgin Records back in that era. We were sitting at a Cactus Club Cafe in Coquitlam. And I said to him, the labels are screwing themselves. At one point, they were taking money for paid subscriptions from the likes of LimeWire or other Napster and others. But what was happening is that they were getting these little payments in their hand while these streaming platforms and the peer-to-peer platforms were robbing their wallets out of their back pocket with all of their value. So this created that dimension that, yes, some of them may be paying a small amount for the rights to air or to share the music. But at the same time, the record industry failed to keep up and to recognize the digital distribution platform as one of longevity and one of huge mass value. They had to turn around and play catch up. They had to go after these big peer-to-peer platforms and streaming platforms and sue their asses off in order to regain control and distribution of the music that they were creating. Or more so, the catalogs that they were representing with artists that were creating the music. Then the pendulum swings, and now you see record labels that are making the billions of dollars again. But where are the artists? The artists are still at the bottom of the totem pole, and that is tough because when you sign a record deal, a lot of times you may be excited that you're getting offered $1 million advance. But then, and I use that number just as a round figure, chances are that you're not going to get offered that much or maybe more, who knows? But the point being is that then you take into account the accounting, the marketing, distribution, advertising. All of these things cost money. Now, what's happening is that as if you have a successful record, it is selling, but you're getting nothing. And remember that some people sign record deals and are getting virtually nothing. And then they end up with all of these bills that are subsidiaries of the record label themselves. Their subsidiaries are getting paid for the marketing, for the accounting, for the management, distribution, all of these things while the artist is getting nothing. Again, it's a system that is not well balanced. And now we're seeing that it is the streaming services that are making huge amounts, and that is shared with the labels. But by the time the amount of royalties trickle down to the artists, once again, they are getting screwed. There were many legal battles over this. And for people to get back their ownership of their own catalogs. The value of the catalogs can be quite substantial. We've seen some artists selling their catalogs And we're talking longevity here. We're talking artists that have been around for a long time. At $250 million with a B, $250 million they sell the rights to their catalogs. I believe one even went for $500 million. But it shows the value. The value is there. But who is realizing that value? Who is realizing the profits? Who is realizing the revenue? So before you go running out to sign a label or sign with a label, make sure that you look at all of the intricacies of the deal. If you are giving your music away free online, what's going to make people want to start paying for it on other platforms? When you are going out to play at clubs, are they paying you or are you paying them? And it doesn't mean that you pay them physically cash, but if you are bringing people in, if you're providing the entertainment that allows them to bring in customers and to sell drinks to those customers, collect a door cover charge, all of that, and you're not getting paid, well, that's referred to as pay to play. Something to keep in mind. You see a lot of people online asking for musicians to play for the experience, play for the exposure, play for the coverage. But again, would you ask an accountant to do your taxes for free? Would you ask your mechanic to do your brakes for free on your car? I wouldn't. I wouldn't even consider it. So why would you want to have musicians not compensated for their work? They could spend years creating their catalog of songs and not make it into the charts. They may not make it. They're working regular jobs while they're doing their music because it's a passion. It's a love. It's a creation. It's art. So why should they be investing all of that if people are not going to pay them to perform or to listen to it? It's about compensation and fair compensation for the artists, of course. Now, of course, we also look at a way for the fans to share music. And yes, that's great. But there are platforms that will allow you to share music or even just clips of music on different platforms. The platforms then sell advertising and they share that revenue with the creator of the music. Again, it's not much, but it's something. And that's where we have to look at different platforms, including Spotify and Apple Music apps on smartphones and all of that, because you've got to also remember that there has to be compensation. These companies are making billions of dollars, but what is the artist getting compensated at that level? Or are the artists just being exploited? These are things you have to watch as you're entering into the industry. As you've been around a while, you may know all of this, or you may have experienced all of this. So again, it's things to consider. Now, the industry was saved by the very technology that we were talking about. Streaming. The services like Spotify and Apple Music offered legal, convenient, and alternative to piracy. And consumers embraced it. Today, streaming accounts for over 83% of all recorded music and revenue. And the industry's overall profits have rebounded. But this recovery came at a cost, and the cost has become almost entirely borne by the artists. The new model is built on volume, paying rights holders fractions of a cent for every stream, while the system has stabilized the balance sheets of the major labels who own the vast majority of valuable copyrights. It has fundamentally altered the economics for the creators themselves. The result is a seismic shift in how musicians earn a living. With recorded music paying so little, artists have been forced to return to their roots. As record sales have fallen, live music has dramatically increased in importance, becoming the primary source of income for many. The modern recording artist is no longer in the business of selling records. They are in the business of building a brand, a community, and a live experience. Their recordings are often just the key to unlock those more lucrative doors. The industry's recovery is a corporate recovery. For the artist, It's a whole new struggle. A fascinating counter trend has emerged, though, in this digital age: the astonishing comeback of the vinyl LP. Driven by a desire for a tangible connection to art and a more direct way to support musicians, vinyl sales have surged, offering a small but meaningful alternative to the micro pennies of streaming. As we look at that and the 2025 Artist's Playbook, we can look at the saturation, the data-driven direct-to-fan world. How does an artist break through? The old rules are gone. This is a new playbook, folks. We're looking at algorithms. We're looking at building your brand and trying to go viral. Sounds easy, but it's not. The first step to getting a record deal is no longer mailing a demo tape. It's proving you don't need one. Today, music discovery is driven by social media. A recent study found that 68% of social media users find new music through short form video content. This is on platforms like TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. A single viral moment can launch a global career. The most famous example is Lil Nas X. He went from an unknown artist to a household name after his song Old Town Road exploded on TikTok. The algorithm has become the new A&R. This means the modern artist must be a savvy marketer, a relentless content creator, and an authentic community manager before they ever speak to a label. They must build their own audience, generate their own buzz, and create their own data points, streams, and followers. Don't forget subscribers with the engagement, because that is what will prove their market viability. As we look at the modern A&R and the big decision, indies versus majors, the new reality has completely transformed the role of the A&R representative. The intuitive, gut-feeling talent scout of the past has been replaced by data-driven analytics. Today, A&R teams scour Spotify playlists and TikTok trends, looking for artists who already have traction. They're no longer starting the fire, they are adding fuel to one that's already burning. When that A&R representative does the call, the artist faces the most critical decision of their career: stay independent or sign with that major label. Each path offers a different set of trade-offs. When you look at it, of course, there are different trade-offs that you got to consider. For the independent artist, you've got creative control, and that means you've got full control over your music, your image, and your release schedule. With a major label, you're ceding significant control to the label's vision and their schedule. When it comes to ownership, with independent, you're going to retain 100% of master recording and publishing rights. Whereas with a label, typically you're signing away ownership of the master recordings, and that comes with the terms of the contract. In terms of revenue share, you're going to keep a much higher percentage, up to 100% of your royalties as an independent. Now, of course, you're going to receive, under a label agreement, smaller percentages after the label recoups all of their costs and expenses. When it comes to the resources and funding, you're going to be self-funded if you're independent or using alternative funding. And that, of course, with limited financing, gives you a limited budget. When it comes to the record labels, of course, you've got access to large budgets for recording, marketing, and for tour support. When you're independent, looking at the marketing and research end, of course, you're relying on grassroots social media marketing, and that struggles for visibility. When you're with the big labels, you're going to benefit from established networks for radio play, press, and playlisting. When it comes to the pace and the pressure, as an indie, you get to self-determine your pace, but you're responsible for all the work. When you are with the label, you're going to face intense pressure to conform to trends and to deliver commercial hits. That's a part of how they make their money. Now let's take a look at the real revenue streams in 2025. Regardless of the path chosen, one thing is certain. Streaming revenue alone is not enough to build a sustainable career. The modern artist must diversify. You have to. If you're planning on playing the game for the long term, you've got to stay in it. As we've seen, live performance is now the financial engine for most artists. Touring builds a direct connection with fans and generates ticket revenue. At those shows, merchandise has become another essential income stream. It's now more affordable than ever for independent artists to produce high-quality t-shirts, posters, and other items that allow fans to support them directly. Beyond the stage, another lucrative avenue is licensing, also known as sync. Getting a song placed in a film, a television show, commercial, video game, any of those things can provide a significant financial windfall and massive exposure at the same time. And what about radio? While it's no longer the monolithic gatekeeper of the past, radio play remains incredibly valuable. It provides a level of credibility that algorithms can't. It introduces music to new and older demographics and can still have a major impact on chart positions, which in turn drives more streams and more sales. For the modern artist, the song is not the final product, it's the beginning of a multifaceted business. When we look at the timeless craft of course forging a connection, the business of music has been turned upside down. But the art of writing a great song, of forging a deep human connection through melody and words remains unchanged. So regardless of how it charts or streams, what makes these songs timeless? What is the architecture of a great song? Well, the foundation of any great song is authenticity. Your unique experiences, your perspective, your voice. That's the one thing no one else has. It's the source of music that is truly impactful. Sorry, folks, I just had a change of audio feed there. The authentic idea needs a structure to live in. Most popular songs follow a familiar pattern: verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. This structure creates a narrative flow in the verses while the chorus delivers a memorable, repetitive, and central message, also known as the hook. The hook is the part of the song that gets stuck in your head. It's a simple, potent, and memorable melodic or lyrical phrase. It's often built on power of repetition and patterns that are pleasing to the human ear. Crucially, the music and the lyrics must be in agreement. This principle is called prosody. The music is the body language of the words. If you're writing a sad lyric, the melody and chords should feel sad. When the message and the music align, the song's emotional power is amplified. Finally, the most profound ideas are often the simplest. Great songwriting involves restraint. It's about cutting away the clutter, the extra words, the complicated chords. Let the core emotion and the emotional idea shine through as clearly and powerfully as possible. I have had hundreds of artists submit to me demo tapes and self-recordings and all of that. And one thing that I always tell them is that when you are trying to get your song played or noticed, or get yourself noticed, sometimes more is distracting. Sometimes I find that artists are trying to just really focus on the song and the lyrics and the genuine message or the genuine emotion and raw emotion, and that works. Other times I find that artists are trying to hit every note that they can. They're trying to show the range of their abilities or their vocal chops. and they lose track of actually delivering a powerful emotional song. It's not about putting a demo out that shows all of your range. If it fits with the song, then that's great. But at the same time, there are artists that have amazing range, but you're not going to hear it all in one song. You want to keep coming back for more. Give them variety, give them something different. But at the same time, remember to keep your songs genuine. As I said, it's important to keep the lyrics and the music in agreement. Finally, the most profound ideas are often the simplest. Remember that. And I repeat it because it's important. As you build a career, you will learn that. But if you're just starting out, it's important to know that off right away. And remember that production with purpose, and that's maximizing the emotional impact. As I said, you don't want to be pushing all of these different ranges of your vocals if it doesn't make sense for the song and it doesn't add to the song. It actually can detract from it. It can turn listeners off. Before you invest a lot of money, make sure that you have people that enjoy your music. I've had to send tapes back and tell people that they shouldn't even sing in the shower. Not to sing to their pets because it would be considered torture. So again, make sure that what you are hearing is the same thing that other people are hearing and that they see a great, powerful voice that can deliver or music that can deliver. Some of the greatest songwriters that have ever lived. They play instruments, they can write lyrics, all of that. But they don't sing and they don't perform because that is not where they excel. So just because your voice may not be, the quality of a Celine Dion or somebody, doesn't mean that you can't write music, doesn't mean that you can't write lyrics. It just means that maybe you are not meant to be a performance artist. Keep that in mind because it, again, can be elevated or diminished by the production as well. In an area where professional sounding recordings can be made in a bedroom, the goal of a production has changed. It's no longer about the technical perfection, it's about maximizing emotional impact, especially when it comes to social media and online streaming platforms. One of the most valuable tools is dynamics, the variation between loud and soft, intense and sparse, creates a tension and a release. A gradual build or a crescendo can create anticipation and excitement. A sudden drop in volume can convey surprise or intimacy. The arrangement, the choice of instruments and how they interact, that can paint an emotional landscape. The human brain is hardwired to respond to sound in primal ways. The low throb of a bass drum can evoke a heartbeat or thunder. The mournful sound of a cello can mirror a human cry. A skilled producer uses these sonic textures to support the song's story. Producers also use psychoacoustics, the study of how humans perceive sound, to create a sense of space. A vocal with no echo or reverb sounds dry and close, creating a feeling of intimacy. A voice drenched in reverb can sound distant and lonely, or vast and epic. But above all, the most important element is the human one. A vocal performance that is emotionally honest and believable is paramount. Musical performance that feels organic, that isn't perfectly locked to a computer grid. That's what connects us. It's the subtle imperfections that make music feel human. In a saturated market where technical perfection is commonplace, the true differentiator is not how polished a track sounds, but how deeply it can make you feel. Now, we've covered a lot here, and the path to a career in music has never been more complex or more filled with opportunity. The old gatekeepers are gone, replaced by new ones. The algorithm. This trend, the ever-shifting this trend is what is shifting the tastes of a global audience. Success is no longer about waiting for a single phone call for one person to say yes. It's about the daily work of building your own world. It's about leveraging powerful new tools to find your audience directly. It's about having the courage to share your authentic voice, the discipline to craft songs that connect on a fundamental human level, and the persistence to broadcast your signal day after day. In the modern music industry, you don't need to wait to get discovered. You build something worth discovering. Once again, you've been watching Primetime Live on JESS FM and JESS TV in Lethbridge, Alberta. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. Feel free to leave your comments in the comment section and let me know what you think. Let me know if you are a musician and if you are looking to expand your audience. By all means, I'm not working in the industry now. I still work in entertainment. I'm an actor and, comedian and all of that. But if you have questions, by all means, send me an email, send me a direct message. I'm happy to answer for you and give you ideas. You got a song you want me to hear and critique? I'm happy to do that, but just be aware that I give honest feedback. And some people, they expect great feedback when it really comes back and shocks them because it's not. So be careful what you wish for, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you've been watching Primetime Live here on JESS FM and JESS TV. We hope that you will join us again next week, live at 8 p.m. And again, this week's episode was pre-recorded because I'm in the studio working on a series. And I hope to see you next week. Don't forget to watch this weekend as another bonus episode or special episode drops, and that is a great discussion with Rufa Doria. She is running for City Council in Lethbridge and has some great ideas and some great plans to move the city forward. To help with infrastructure, law enforcement, and crime reduction. A lot of great ideas. So listen for that or watch for that over the weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you next Thursday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.